A heartbreaking incident has cast a shadow over a young military couple's future, highlighting the profound human impact of President Donald Trump's intensified immigration policies. A U.S. Army Staff Sergeant and his newlywed wife were poised to begin their life together, but President Trump's strict deportation policies shattered their plans. The wife of a soldier was arrested by immigration and customs enforcement agents and taken to a detention facility, as reported by the New York Times. 22-year-old biochemistry student Annie Ramos was attempting to register at her husband Matthew Blank's military base when she was taken away in handcuffs. Sergeant Blank, a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army, comparable to a fourth non-commissioned officer rank in the German Bundeswehr, and his wife had just arrived at his base in Louisiana last week. Their plan was to settle into their new home on the base and embark on their shared life as a recently married couple. However, their hopes were dashed when personnel at the visitor center informed immigration and customs enforcement officials, leading to Ms. Ramos's immediate arrest. According to the New York Times, Annie Ramos is an undocumented immigrant from Honduras who arrived in the United States as a toddler. She has no criminal record and is on the verge of completing her university degree, her family stated. That very evening, she found herself in a detention center alongside hundreds of other women facing deportation under the Trump administration's tightened immigration enforcement. Sergeant Blank, who enlisted more than 5 years ago, is part of a brigade at Fort Polk that is scheduled to begin preparations for an overseas deployment later this month. He told the New York Times, "Our plan was to go there together, register her at the office so she could get her military identification and qualify for spouse benefits." The 23-year-old stated that his wife was supposed to move in with him after Easter. "Instead, she was just ripped away from me." When U.S. citizens marry undocumented immigrants, their spouses generally have a right to a permanent residence permit. 3 years after obtaining a green card, they can also apply for citizenship. Experts note that even individuals with a previous deportation order, often from childhood, are typically not detained and can adjust their immigration status. Before their wedding, Ms. Ramos and Sergeant Blank had already hired an attorney to initiate this precise process. Sergeant Blank told the New York Times, "I knew she didn't have legal status. We did everything right." A deportation order had been issued against Ms. Ramos back in 2005 in absentia when she was just 22 months old. Her family had not appeared for a court hearing at the time, a circumstance that, as lawyer Margaret Stock explained to the New York Times, was common. Ms. Stock, a former reserve lieutenant colonel and expert in military and immigration law, stated, "Before the introduction of the massive deportation policy under the Trump administration, someone like her would not have been arrested." She has handled numerous similar cases. Ms. Stock emphasized, "It is fundamentally damaging to national security to treat military personnel this way, especially during times of war. This is a massive burden on this soldier. He cannot concentrate on his service." The U.S. Army initially offered no comment on the matter. However, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which oversees immigration and customs enforcement deportations, stated that Ms. Ramos was arrested after attempting to enter a military base. The statement reads, "She does not possess legal immigration status, and there is a legally valid deportation order against her." This incident underscores the far-reaching and often devastating consequences of President Trump's immigration policies, impacting not only undocumented individuals, but also U.S. citizens, including those serving in the military, and raising concerns about national security and the well-being of service members. What's your take on Trump's immigration policy tears soldiers' family apart? Share your view in the comments. Do you think this will matter in the next news cycle? This video was generated using artificial intelligence.